This tutorial will walk you through how to create a key fob using OnShape. And I'm starting on this screen just so you can see what this object looks like. This is actually much larger than the one we'll be creating. It's just zoomed in a lot, but this is what it looks like. So I'm going to just go back to the OnShape home screen. When you log into OnShape, you will come to a screen that looks like this. I have folders and some documents already created, but I'm going to begin with a create button and select document, and I'll give my document a name. All right, and then we come into the main design space. You can see our three planes. We have the front plane, the top plane, and the right plane. And we can begin our design on any one of those planes. We'll have to choose one. But I will begin with a sketch. And you'll see the first thing it asks me is to select a sketch plane. For this project, I'm going to choose the top plane. If I just move my mouse around a little bit, you can see that is the plane that's selected. So you've got the top plane, and then you've got the space for the sketch. I'm going to use my little view cube over here and click top. I find it easier to be looking straight on. So I'm looking as if I'm looking down on the object that I'm creating. All right, I will use the rectangle tool right here, and I want a center point rectangle. So I'm going to choose the second option down, and then I'm going to move my mouse over to the drawing area. I find it easiest to start with a point of origin. So I'm going to click right here in the middle, and then I drag my mouse out and click again. If I were to continue clicking, I would create more boxes. I only want one box, so I'm not going to do that. But you'll notice that as I just hover over this side, a measurement box comes up, and I'm going to change that measurement to 15. And my default measurement is millimeters. And then as soon as I hit enter, this other box pops up for the other measurement. I'm going to go ahead and type that in as well. Just a note, if you are using a tablet or an iPad, you have to put in the dimensions manually. You have to go up to the dimension tool, select the item that you want to dimension, and then put it in. So I'm going to just move this number out of the way. If I wanted to change these dimensions, I could come back into this sketch, double click on the number and change it, just like that. The last thing I'll do before I close the sketch is to name it. This is the base of my key fob, so I'm going to just name it base, and then I'll click the green check mark. All right, so now I've created a sketch. This is two-dimensional, so if I rotate to the side, you can see it's only a two-dimensional shape right now. But our next step will be to extrude it, which will take it from two-dimensional to three-dimensional. So I'm going to select extrude, and then it's telling me or asking me to select what part I want to extrude. And so I'm going to select the shape that I just made. The default is 25 millimeters. I can change that by clicking and dragging this arrow, and you'll see that that number changes. I can also just type in the number that I want, which in this case is 3 millimeters. It's pretty small. So I'm going to set it to 3 millimeters. I will rename this part base extrude. And you'll see why as we go further. I'm going to use those two steps, sketching and extruding, multiple times. And it's less confusing if they're not all named sketch 1, sketch 2, sketch 3, etc. Okay, so we have created our base, and I'm going to add a rim to this. I'm just rotating around. I click the top of the view cube so that I can view straight on the top of my little block. And I'm going to choose sketch again. I'm going to choose, this time when it asks for the sketch plane, I'm actually going to choose the top surface of this block that I just created. So I'm going to select that. I want to rotate to the side so you can see what that looks like. So before I was drawing on this base right here, this plane, but I'm actually going to be sketching on the top surface of this object that I just created. Okay, so I'm going to just view back around. I've selected that top surface, and now I'm going to use the offset button, which is this one right here, and I will select each side. So click, 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 click. I'm selecting each side, and I can click on this arrow to go either direction. Yours may be pointing out to begin with, but I want to have it pointing in, and then I'm going to hit enter, and that'll bring up the dimension, and I'm going to change that from 5 millimeters to 1.5 millimeters and hit enter. So I've changed that dimension to 1.5 millimeters. I'm going to rename that sketch rim, and then I'll check the green check mark to close the sketch. Once again, I'm going to extrude. I'm going to rotate to the side. Again, I'm doing this so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to select extrude, and this time the part that I want to extrude is just this edge out here, the part that I created with the offset. So I'm not selecting the whole piece. I'm just selecting this part here, and I'm going to just move this over. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to move it so you can see it a little bit better. Okay. So you can see it defaulted once again to 25 millimeters. This rim is only going to be 1 millimeter tall, so I'm going to change that. It's just a very small, like little lip or rim on the edge. And you can see that that's up above the top of the box that I created in the first step. Okay, so I've changed that. I'm going to rename it. Once again, this is rim extrude. And there we go. So I now have 2 sketches and 2 extrude steps that I've done. And I'm going to shift again when I want to look at the top again. You're going to notice that I do that frequently. I switch back to that top view. And then our next step will be to create that semicircle on the end of the key fob where the key will actually connect. And to do that, I'm going to create another sketch. And this time, my sketch plane is going to be the surface of the last part that I created. So that rim, that is going to be my sketch plane this time. So I'm going to select that. Again, it's a little bit higher still. Selecting that plane, and again I'm going to make it so that I'm looking straight on. This step in particular is important to have yourself oriented so you're viewing directly on, because we're going to center this circle right on this endpoint down here. So we're going to use circle, we're going to choose center point circle, and then as I bring my mouse down the side of this shape, you can see that it's turning yellow, and as I get to the midline, that little orange box pops up. See that? I'm going to click inside that orange box because I want to select that center of that box as the placement for the middle of my circle. So I clicked once, I'm dragging out to approximately here, and then clicking again to let go. Just like in the first step, it pops up this measurement box, and I'm going to change that to 15 millimeters exactly. So now the diameter of my circle is exactly the same as this dimension here from one side to the other. I'm going to leave a tool. I'm not leaving the sketch, I'm just leaving the tool. I can either click this, so I can turn it on, turn it off, or I can tap the escape button, and that will, I'll leave the tool. The next thing I want to do while I'm still in the sketch is create an offset. So I'm going to use offset, and this time I'm going to select this circle. So I'm just going to select that outside edge, and just like before, you see this arrow pop up. I want that arrow to go the other direction, and then I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to change the dimension from 5 millimeters to 1 millimeter. So now we have a 1 millimeter offset. So we've got the 15 millimeter diameter circle, and then I have a 1 millimeter offset. And I'm going to change this piece, the name of this piece, to opening, and I'll click the green check mark. And I'm going to rotate to the side because I want you to see where I sketched. Remember at the beginning of this step, I selected that top surface, and so it made this sketch on the top of that surface, which is exactly what I want. Okay. The next step is going to be familiar. Again, we're going to extrude. I'm going to select the extrude tool. And then the part that I want to extrude is just this part of the circle. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it. I don't want to extrude this. I don't want to extrude this or this. just this part right here. I'm going to select that. Now, once again, it's chosen the default of 25 millimeters, and it is going up. And I'm going to zoom out so you can see that arrow. I can click this arrow to make it go the other direction. See, there you go. And if you'll notice, it's also this arrow right here. So that would change the direction. So I'm going to go the other direction, and then I'm going to change the measurement to 4 millimeters. So that makes that measurement the same as the other piece, because the other piece was 3 millimeters. We added a 1 millimeter rim. So now this opening on the other side here is 4 millimeters, just like the other part. So I'm going to select rim. Oh, no, sorry, we already did that. We're going to do opening, EXT, for rim or opening extrude. So now we've extruded that piece, and we have our main shape for our key fob. All right, next step is to add the text. And I'm going to orient myself so I'm looking directly at it. I'm going to make it nice and big so that you can see. And then I'm going to select the sketch tool. This time my sketch plane is going to be the surface of the interior of the key fob. So kind of down there on the inside, if I rotate to the side, you can see I didn't select the top surface. I actually selected this interior surface right here. So I'm going to sketch right down there. And I'm going to bring this in nice and big so you can see what I'm doing. And we're going to use the text tool right here. I'm going to click over here. I want to bring this over so that this edge highlights, but I'm not going to come all the way down to the corner. I'm going to start just a little bit up. I'm going to click there, and then I drag my mouse over to the other side, and about the same distance down on that side. And I'm going to click and let go. So that's kind of created the field where I'm going to place my text. This particular key fob is for NC ties. And so I'm going to type NC ties here. I'm going to select italics. The way the text will look is highlighted up here. So I'm typing my text here. This is how it will look. There are multiple fonts available, not a ton, but a few. And I'm just going to use the Open Sans. And then I'm going to click the check mark. All right, and that fills in my text in the space that I allotted for it. And I'm going to call this feature text and click the check mark. All right, so our last step here will be to extrude the text. So I will select extrude. And I think the easiest way to select all of the text at once is to actually choose it from this feature list over here. If I come over here, especially with the iPad or the app, it's sometimes you end up isolating just a single letter, or you get more than what you want, and it's just easiest to select text over here. So it selects all the letters. All right, so I've selected my text. Right now, if I rotate to the side, you can see, once again, it is defaulted to 25 millimeters, going all the way out. And I want to actually remove text instead of add text. So I'm going to come up here and select remove. And it changed the direction and took us all the way through the key fob. And we could leave it this way. We could have it completely cut out. For this design, I decided not to do that. So I'm going to change this depth to just 1 millimeter. I'm just going to have it cut away just a tiny bit, so it's like a little indentation. But on the back side, well, you can't really tell because it's kind of showing through, but it's not going to cut all the way through. There you can see it's only cutting through part of the way. So there we go. I'm going to rename this text EXT. So you can see I have several sketches and several extrusions. And so it's helpful to have them named because then I can easily tell them apart. Okay, I'm going to do one more thing, and this is kind of a finishing touch. It's not an absolute necessity, but I'm going to just kind of curve these corners right here. So I'm going to rotate this around a tiny bit right on these edges. I want to just rotate that just a little bit. I want to make this just a little bit curved. So I'm going to use a tool called Fillet. I'm going to select the Fillet tool, and I need to move this over so that you can see. And I will select just this little corner piece right here. I could fillet every edge if I wanted to. I'm only going to choose this one, and I'm going to rotate that just a little more so you can see it. So I'm going to select this edge right here and this edge right here, just those two ends. And the default on mine is 1 millimeter, probably because that was the last thing I had done. If this was more, it would be a much bigger curve if the radius is higher. So I'm going to just keep that at 1 millimeter for the radius. And I don't really need to rename this part because I'm only doing one fillet. And there we go. So that is our completed key fob. I can change the color of it. Now this will make absolutely no difference in printing. The color it prints is the color that your filament is. It has nothing to do with the color it appears on the screen. But I sometimes do that to demonstrate or to show myself that something is complete. So I can go edit appearance and choose a color. So if I wanted to make it green, and then select. So again, this is just changing what it looks like on the screen. It is not changing it. I would have to put green filament in my 3D printer in order to get a green key fob. If I wanted to, just to make it easier to view, I can get rid of these planes. I'm not getting rid of them, I'm just hiding them. Nope, not that one. There we go. So I can just kind of see it without all of that. And you can see that that text did not come through to the back. And now it is a complete part. My last step would be to send it to my printer. If I select the part and it's selecting everything, the whole part, I'm going to right click on it and export. And I would give it a name up here. And it's STL, binary. My units are millimeter. I'll keep it at fine. And then I just go ahead and choose download. And it downloads my file. And then I can take that into my slicing software for my 3D printer. So that's how you make a key fob.